Hello, my name is Alejandra. Welcome to this Cambly lesson titled Introduce Yourself. Today we will learn how to effectively introduce ourselves. You may think that introducing yourself is not very hard. It's a pretty simple process, and you are right. But in this class, we will learn some very useful phrases that will help us not only make ourselves known, but also make a very good first impression. How? When we are speaking to a person for the first time, we could keep it to a minimum. Hello, my name is, nice to meet you, and that's all. Or we could make the conversation go a little bit longer. For what purpose? To make ourselves known more, to leave the other person with just a taste of your personality and a good opinion of you, hopefully. Why is this important? We live in a social world. Nobody is alone at home where they never interact with others. We always have to interact with other people. So it's important to have good social skills. In a work environment, in a social environment, in every part of your life, you are surrounded by people. So it's important to know how to make useful connections. Okay, so the first part of our lesson is to go over a dialogue. I will make myself smaller here so we can see our lesson. I'm getting small. Went down. Okay, here I am. I'm small now. I'm going to put myself here to the side, and here is our lesson. As you can see, we have our title. It says Lesson 1, Introduce Yourself. We go a little bit down, and we find our dialogue that I was speaking of. A dialogue is a conversation between two people. Here we have a conversation between our two characters. They are Kevin and Dorothy. If you were studying with me or any of the Cambly tutors, we would take turns reading this conversation. You would be Kevin and I would be Dorothy, or vice versa, and we would read the lesson together and it would be very fun. But today I'm alone, so I will read both parts. It goes like this. Hi. My name is Kevin. I'm your neighbor from across the street. Hi, Kevin. My name is Dorothy. It's good to meet you. I know that you're new to the area, so I wanted to introduce myself. Thank you. I just moved here from LA for a new job. How long have you been here? I've lived here for 2 years now. I work down the street at the university. Are you a professor? No, I'm a lawyer. What do you do? I'm a guidance counselor. Let me know if you need any help with your move. Thanks so much. It's nice to make a new friend. And that is all. As you can see in this conversation, it was very simple. It's just two people meeting for the first time, and it was a very friendly exchange. Dorothy is new to the area, and Kevin was just making himself available to her as a friendly neighbor if she needed any help in the future. So this is very useful for Dorothy if she's a new person in that region. She can ask her neighbor, hey, can you recommend a cheap gas station? Or where can I find a good doctor? Where are the best fruits and vegetable stands? Helpful things like that that you need for your everyday life. So in the next part of our lesson, we will go over all the phrases that were used in this dialogue. I will go down again. Goodbye. Down. A little bit more. Okay. Put myself off to the side again, and we will go over the list of vocabulary that you see here. We have our vocabulary. This is a very helpful section where we will go over words and or expressions that we used in the previous dialogue. Here we have our list. It says expression, definition, and example of each one. So, our first expression that was used in the dialogue was across the street. The definition is on the other side of the street. Our example, I live right across the street from a park. What does that mean? If you find yourself on a street, on this location, across the street means directly to the other side. It's pretty simple. We use it to give directions, to point something out that's within eyesight. Where is the post office? Oh, it's just across the street. Oh, I see it. Thank you. And it's very useful in those situations. Our next expression is, it's good to meet you. The definition is a way to say you are happy to meet someone. And an example, it's good to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. It's good to meet you. It's another option. We usually say nice to meet you or happy to meet you, but it just gives us options. You know, it's good to have variety. It sounds very polite. It sounds very nice. It makes us sound like we're genuinely glad to make that person's acquaintance. Our next expression is new to the area, as in just moved to the area. And the example is, it can be hard being new to an area. Yes, it can. It can be very hard to be new to an area. It can be very difficult to learn how to fit in, how to make friends, how to ask for things that we need. But that's what we need to do when we are new. I would use this if I needed help, if I needed a recommendation for anything useful, maybe a good cinema or a cheap gas station. That's always helpful. A good place to buy donuts early in the morning. Excuse me, I'm new to the area. Can you direct me to the best pastry store? Yes, of course. You can find it on Elm Street. Oh, thank you so much. Things like that give you an opportunity, one, obviously, to get to know your area, and two, to make connections with people. Okay, on to the next. Our next expression is introduce myself. The definition, tell you about myself for the first time. Our example, allow me to introduce myself to you. We use this if we are taking the initiative in the first conversation. Perhaps we are in a party or in a large group and we see a person that we feel we should meet. Maybe it's a higher up in the company. Maybe it's a colleague that's on our same level but could be a good contact. So we go up to the person and say, let me introduce myself. My name is Alejandra. And the other person would respond, it's very nice to meet you. Perhaps we would keep talking, exchange cards, exchange information, and that's a good connection. It's very useful, especially in professional situations. All right, the next expression is down the street. Our definition, on the same street. Our sample sentence, the grocery store is just down the street. How do we use that? When we are pointing to something that is located on the same street we are currently on. Where can I find the post office again? Oh, just look further. It's right down the street. Oh, I see it. Thank you so much for pointing that out. We are located at one point, but the location that we are asked about is on the same street, but not right there. You have to look a little bit further down and you will see it. It's useful, obviously, for giving directions, for asking for directions, and just to make it clear. It's a very clear way to give a person an idea of how to get to what they're looking for. Very good. The next, this is a word, is professor, and the meaning is teacher at a university. This is the distinction between a regular school teacher and a teacher who works in university. It's a symbol of respect to call somebody a professor. We are acknowledging that this person works in higher education and we call them professor. It's a very respectful way to direct ourselves to them. Our sample sentence is, he is a professor at a large university. This is basically the only way that it is used. What does he do for a living? Oh, he's a professor at MIT. Excuse me, professor, can you remind me of the due date for the essay? Things like that. We direct ourselves to that person as professor. We address them in that way because it's the respectful thing to do. The next phrase is guidance counselor. This is a person who gives guidance to students. Our sentence is, he is the best guidance counselor at the school. A guidance counselor, as our definition says here, is a person, it can be a teacher or not, but it's a person whose job it is to give students direction when they are confused. Who doesn't remember what it's like to be young and confused? I am not young anymore and I'm confused all the time. I could use a guidance counselor right about now. So this is a person who gives advice, who tries to give clarity to a student's academic or emotional situation and just gives them advice, tries to steer them in the right direction. For example, a student can be having a difficult time and his teacher can say, I think you should see the guidance counselor tomorrow so he or she can give you some direction. Thank you very much for that suggestion, teacher. Okay. Or, I love working as a guidance counselor. It gives me a chance to interact with students, with young people, and that's my favorite thing to do. Our next word is lawyer. That's another profession. A person who works with the law. Exactly. And our sample sentence, you should hire a lawyer if you need legal help. Yes, you should. Always hire a lawyer, or at least ask a friend that's a lawyer. Never do things by yourself. In any legal situation, we need an interpreter, a lawyer. That's a person who is an expert at the law. Most of us know our basic rights, but we have no idea what it is to go deeper into the law. So we need a professional's help. That would be a lawyer. For example, I think I'm going to get a divorce. And my friend would say, you should hire a lawyer immediately. Or, my neighbor will not stop banging his music all night long. I'm sick of it. I can't sleep. Maybe you should talk to a lawyer to see what you can do about it. Something like that. Our next expression is thanks so much, which means another way to say thank you. And our sample sentence, thanks so much for your help. As our definition says, this is just an alternative to a simple thank you or to a thank you very much. But we are stretching it a little to make emphasis on how thankful we are. We are saying thanks so much. Probably we would add a facial expression, a hand gesture, maybe a hug to make our sentiment known, to make sure the person understands that we're very, very grateful for their help or for whatever nice thing they did for us. Thank you so much for inviting me to the party. I had a great time. Or a teacher, thanks so much, Professor, for giving me the guidance to get an A on this course. I really needed it and I appreciate your help. Okay, our last expression, make a new friend. Definition, to start a new friendship. And our sample sentence, I like going to parties because I like making new friends. Yes, making new friends is a different situation for each person. It's a very individual thing. Some people are excellent at making new friends and others, if we are more reserved or shy, are not. So, making new friends, it's not something that you must do. I am of the opinion that if you have a few good friends, that's enough, but it's always good to make new acquaintances, even if they're not close friends, because like I said, we live in a social world and we must make connections with people. So, another way to use this phrase, making new friends, I could say, making new friends is important because you never know when you will need help in certain situations. For example, I could make a friend that's a lawyer. I could make a friend that's a guidance counselor. I could make a friend that's a professor at a university, or I could make a friend that's a doctor. All of these people can help me in any given situation, and I could offer help in return in whatever my profession is. So we exchange favors, we exchange our professional opinions, and we're useful to each other. Perhaps we can be good friends, perhaps we can just be nice acquaintances, but the thing is, it is useful for both of us. So this is our lesson. If you are at Cambly with your tutor, you will go further down and start the exercise and the conversation part and then wrap up. It's a very fun and interactive way to learn your lessons. And if you have questions along the way, you can always ask your tutor to stop and explain a little further. We love to help you with this, so don't be shy about asking questions. The most important thing to do is to ask a lot of questions. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something useful about introducing yourself. My name is Alejandra, and I will see you next time.